Any suggestions on moving forward after a penalty is lifted? So you had a penalty, the penalty was removed. My site got hit by an unnatural inbound links manual penalty exactly 2 years ago. After hiring a couple of experts, in quotes, and disavowing pretty much all backlinks, and after 6 rejections from Google, the penalty is finally lifted. One of the reconsideration requests took 7 months for a response from Google. Um, in these 2 years, I have not updated the website much, so no backlinks built, no content added, so naturally the website traffic declined almost 70% steadily, not sharply. That's actually uh, that's actually not that bad. You actually retained some traffic. 30, a lot of times when you see a site get a penalty, it loses, 95, 99% of it. Um, so the fact that you retained some traffic is kind of cool. Um, how should I move forward from here and restart SEO without triggering a manual penalty again? Um, yeah, so, this time around, you're going to want to follow link building best practices. Um, and, those are uh, link diversity, anchor diversity. Um, you could say link velocity, but that's not something I really think about as really a best practice. Rather than just doing a huge burst of links and not doing any links for a long time. I'd rather just have a steady flow of links over time. Um, but if you want to do it fast, you can always do a huge influx of links, but just keep it going rather than just big pops. But even then, you could still do big pops because that could happen naturally as well. If a site just gets a lot of press out of nowhere, maybe that an article go viral or something. But anyway, link diversity, using different types of backlinks because natural sites get different types of links. They don't just get one type of link. Anchor diversity, using a mix of natural anchor text because sites get a mix of natural anchor text like branded anchors, URL anchors, generic anchors. Um, and your money anchors as well, but that'll be a much smaller percentage of your link profile other than just the natural stuff, long tail stuff, topical stuff as well. um, Linking to your homepage a good amount rather than linking to your inner pages super heavily. We like to link very healthy amount of links to the homepage. um, and yeah, I mean that I think that's pretty much, healthy amount of homepage links, practicing link diversity, practicing anchor diversity, especially in the beginning, going very in the beginning, you're going to be going very heavily to the homepage, hardly hitting any inner pages at all. And as well with anchors and with your anchor text, you're going to be very natural in the beginning for a good amount of time before you start doing a good amount of exact match anchors. Um, and yeah, I think that'll pretty much get you started. I'm also going to drop a link in the chat as well as on your question in the group about how to build links for a new website. And I think that would kind of answer the question kind of generally as well. It's pretty much going to talk about what I just talked about here, except maybe go a little bit more in depth. But yeah, coming off a penalty, you're going to want to be pretty conservative. You're going to play it safe, just like you're building links to a new site. And yeah, just kind of take it from there. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, so adding to what Chris said, which is all accurate, some things that I think kind of stand out is how you say you didn't add any content, I guess, as all of this was going on, etc.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah, I kind of
what
skipped
I've
that.
come to find is that especially when you're trying to get a reconsideration request to work, some of the things that help out would be to transfer the site to possibly a new registrar, put it on a parking page. And then you could even open it back up and start a small site dedicated to whatever you want to go after, and then put in a reconsideration request. Google can see everything that's going on with that particular domain, right? And so what they want to see in order to decide that they're going to allow this site to operate again, having known that it was doing, manipulation tactics in the background, is that it's like far away from where it previously existed, where it previously got that penalty, right? So now that you've gotten it back, you're going to restart everything. I also probably would say not to focus terribly heavily on backlinks at this given time. It's going to be good to start a campaign to keep it going. But where you're really going to want to, move, I think, with this site is through the content. Now it's going to depend on a lot of variables like, is this an affiliate site? Is it going to be massive, or is it like, a small local site, something like that? But just some things to consider. And then outside of that, yeah, you've already been penalized once. Essentially, my guess is there is some kind of way, like some kind of monitoring system that says, this one's been in a bad neighborhood before. So somehow I think, there's ways for Google to check up on, what you might be doing. And so you're going to want to be extra natural with any kind of manipulation tactics you do on this website, here for the foreseeable future. And a way to monitor that is through traffic. As the site builds, oftentimes we talk about the starting points of a site, which kind of, exist at the bottom of the SERPs. And then when you finally get that trust flow to that particular asset, to that website, you'll see a kind of a big rip, like an Ahrefs or in Google Analytics, that should signify you're starting to gain trust in Google. And that's when you start, moving, being tested and prodded throughout the SERPs. So, you're going to want to look for that as well. Just treat it like you're basically starting from scratch with this asset, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Nick completely touched on something that I completely skipped over because your question was how do I move forward and restart your SEO overall. I just went on I just answered it completely from a link building perspective, since it had been a penalty triggered by links, and so links were in my head. But yeah, just like with any website, content and what you're doing with the site itself is hugely important as well. You definitely want to be maintaining the site, updating content, adding new content. Just show Google that you're putting time and effort into your site, that you're trying to produce content that readers actually want to read, that stuff that they're searching for. Yeah, content is such a massive thing. We kind of downplay it a lot because you know, in a lot of situations, if you know what you're doing, you can just kind of brute force things with links. But when it really comes down to it, I mean, you should not skimp on your content efforts. It's just such a huge thing as well. And yeah, so definitely, yeah, just move forward with adding new content to your site regularly. Anything else to add, Nick?
Yeah, something else I want to just add real quickly that we didn't touch on is, disavow. So a lot of people, they'll go talk to whichever SEO expert, and a lot of these SEO experts love saying disavow, disavow, disavow. We talk a lot here about almost never disavowing unless it's 100% certain that that's the only way we're going to get out of a hole. And
You
so,
did have the
not
manual
saying that
penalty.
wasn't the right,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but not saying that's the wrong recourse of action, but yeah, even when you do have the manual penalty, you're going to want to make sure that you hire somebody, especially if you're hiring somebody to do the disavow for you, who knows what types of links are actually toxic and what types aren't. Because I've tried a plethora of different vendors who, when they send back the disavow file, it's going to be filled with links that you don't want to get rid of. And so it sounds like, basically they, wiped out your entire backlink profile from what I think you were saying. But that's fine. You're just starting off from scratch. It's just, if anybody else is watching, disavow is something that, you can kind of move slow with. And talking about the manual penalty too, I mean, I've resurrected sites that I wanted to use for PBNs before, without disavowing or doing anything like that before. And the way I did it was, how I talked about doing it when we were first talking about this question. So, yeah.
Yeah, he says they had disavowed pretty much everything. But yeah, um, it's a bit of a tricky situation when you're in a manual penalty and it's a link building penalty. But yeah, like Nick was saying, we're pretty we pretty much try to stay away from disavows when at all possible. Um, I can't even remember the last time I disavowed a single link. Yeah, hopefully that helps, Owen. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to check the description below for links to our blog for more info on this topic, along with a bunch of other cool stuff like case studies, our Facebook community, and our link building services. And like always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you enjoyed the video. Thanks and happy ranking.